On the 20th body, the sky changed, not with thunder, not with lightning, with silence. The birds vanished, the wind stopped. Even the hill behind my house felt watched. That morning, a government official died on the road. No accident marks, no wounds. He simply stopped breathing. The villagers whispered, he was healthy. My grandfather didn't respond. He just closed the door and lit incense backward. The incense didn't burn. It melted, dripping black resin onto the floor. My grandfather stared at it. Heaven noticed, he said, and it doesn't negotiate. That night, a body fell from a tree near the hill. Not hanged, placed, perfectly upright. The face was calm, too calm. Chen Banmu arrived moments later. This one doesn't count, he said. Heaven-sent bodies never do. The collected bodies began to rot differently. Their mouths opened wider. Their hands clenched tighter. They weren't resisting, they were measuring. I felt the mark on my leg, throb in rhythm, like a second pulse. My grandfather drew a line at the foot of the hill. Ash, salt, blood. Cross this, he told Chen, and I stop you. Chen looked at the sky. You can't stop heaven, he said. I'm just finishing before it arrives. That night, heaven spoke to me, not in words, in weight. I dreamed I was buried standing up. Dirt filled my mouth. Above me, someone was counting, slowly, deliberately. I woke up screaming. At dawn, my grandfather collapsed. His breath was shallow, his pulse uneven. Chen checked him. He's the payment, Chen said calmly. The first close one. I stepped back. No, I said. Chen met my eyes. You wanted time, he replied. Time costs people. I grabbed the rod. Stop the ritual, I said. Chen shook his head. Too late. The talisman thread had already reached 30. The air felt heavy, like something descending. Thunder finally came, not loud, focused. A single crack split the sky. One grave on the hill collapsed inward. The preserved corpse inside turned to ash. My grandfather opened his eyes. That was a warning, he whispered. Chen wiped sweat from his brow. Heaven's impatient, he said. We're halfway there. I realized then, heaven wasn't trying to stop us. It was pricing us. Every step forward would cost more. That night, the talisman thread tightened. 40 bodies. The mark on my leg reached my knee. My grandfather couldn't stand anymore. Chen looked satisfied, and somewhere beyond the clouds, the counting continued. When it reached 50, heaven would stop warning. It would start collecting. And the first body it wanted was already mine. On the 49th body, the hill began to bleed. Not blood, water. Clear streams seeped from the graves, flowing downhill toward the river. Chen Banmu watched silently. When it reaches 50, he said, something forbidden will surface. My grandfather pulled me aside. His voice was barely there. There are bodies, he whispered. No collector is allowed to touch. Children, the unborn, and those who died carrying another life. I felt my stomach drop. I already knew what heaven was preparing. At dusk, a man arrived carrying a stretcher. His wife had died in childbirth. The baby did not survive. The body would not cool. The coffin cracked from the inside. Chen didn't hesitate. That's number 50, he said. We can't, I said. That body is forbidden. Chen's smile vanished. Heaven already chose, he replied. My grandfather shook his head. If you suppress that corpse, he said, the backlash will be unstoppable. Chen answered calmly, so will heaven if we refuse. The woman lay motionless. Her abdomen was still warm. Her hands rested protectively over her stomach. When I stepped closer, The mark on my leg burned violently. I heard it then. A second heartbeat. Chen raised the talisman thread. My grandfather collapsed to his knees. "If you do this," he said, "you're not delaying death. You're challenging birth." The room darkened. Chen tied the final knot. The talisman screamed. The woman's body arched violently. The coffin shattered. A shockwave threw us back. Every candle went out. Outside, dogs howled in terror, and beneath the woman's ribs, something moved. I acted without thinking. I struck the ground with the corpse-whipping rod. Once, twice. The third strike cracked the floor. The movement stopped. Silence fell. Chen staggered. Blood ran from his nose. 50, he muttered. The talisman thread snapped. Not cleanly, it recoiled, straight into me. Pain exploded up my leg. The black handprint reached my thigh. Then my waist. It didn't stop. My grandfather screamed my name. "It chose you," Chen whispered. "You're the balance now." The sky cleared instantly, too instantly. No thunder, no warning, just absence. Heaven had stopped. Reacting. Which was worse? That night, I couldn't feel my legs. I dreamed of a child standing at the foot of my bed. It didn't cry, it didn't speak. It only looked at me, as if asking a question. The 100-corpse talisman was no longer incomplete. It was misaligned, and when heaven corrects a mistake, it doesn't fix it, it erases it. The erasure would begin with my bloodline. That story comes next. When heaven stopped reacting, my grandfather said only one sentence. "It's not done. It's redirected." The 100-corpse talisman hadn't failed. It had simply changed who would pay. At sunrise, a distant cousin collapsed while eating breakfast. No illness, no struggle. He died holding his bowl. By noon, another relative fell. Different village, same cause. My grandfather's hands shook. "It's following the bloodline," he said. Chen Banmu finally spoke the truth. "Heaven doesn't collect randomly," he said. "It follows ownership." "You inherited the mark. Your blood inherited the debt." I asked. "How far will it go?" Chen answered quietly. "Until the balance is clean." My grandfather summoned everyone. Aunts, uncles, names I barely knew. He burned incense until the room filled with smoke. "Leave this place," he told them. "Scatter." Some listened, some laughed. Heaven didn't care. The second night was worse. A child fell ill, not possessed, not cursed, just empty, breathing without awareness. My grandfather collapsed beside the bed. "It's accelerating," he whispered. Chen pulled me aside. "There's one way," he said. "A substitution. One body," he continued, "can anchor the entire bloodline. A voluntary payment." I understood immediately. He meant me. I returned to the hill alone. Graves were opening, slightly, not enough to rise, enough to breathe. A voice came from below. "You broke the count," it said. "Now you must become it." My knees gave out. My grandfather followed me. "This was always coming," he said. "Our family survived too long. Each generation borrowed time. You were born because someone else wasn't." I asked, "Was it worth it?" He didn't answer. Chen laid out the ritual. No talisman, no suppression, just burial. "If you enter willingly," he said, "the debt stops with you. Your bloodline lives." Silence followed. Before I could answer, the ground shook. One grave burst open. The preserved corpse, the one that once saved me, rose halfway out. Its eyes were open. It shook its head, slowly, deliberately. "Not him," the corpse said. Its voice was dry as soil. "The debt belongs to the keeper." All eyes turned to my grandfather. He smiled faintly. So that's how it ends, he said. My grandfather stepped forward. I started this, he said. I carried it. I'll close it. Chen reached for him. I reached too late. As he walked toward the open grave, the sky darkened for the last time. Heaven wasn't counting anymore. It was watching. The final payment would be made at dawn. And when the sun rose, only one of us would remain. Dawn arrived without light. The sun rose, but it felt distant, as if it didn't belong to us anymore. The hill was silent. The open grave waited, and my grandfather stood at its edge. He turned to me one last time. Listen carefully, he said. This is the final rule of our profession. You can borrow time. You can delay death. But you can never escape payment. The wind shifted. The grave breathed. I was never meant to live this long, my grandfather said quietly. Every body I collected added years to my life. Years that belonged to others. I felt my chest tighten. Your parents, he continued, were never accidents. They were the correction. My legs gave out. Chen Banmu said nothing. For the first time, he didn't smile. He simply watched, a man who had bargained with heaven long enough to recognize when the price was fair. My grandfather stepped forward. He removed the green roof tile from his pocket. Return this, he said, to the one who saved you. Then he climbed into the grave. No struggle, no fear. The earth closed gently around him. The moment the grave sealed, the 100-corpse talisman unraveled. Threads turned to dust. The pressure lifted. The sky brightened slightly. I collapsed, gasping. The mark on my body burned once, then stopped. No more deaths followed. The bloodline was spared, but something else was taken. The hill behind my house went barren. No grass, no insects. As if death itself refused to linger there again. Chen Banmu prepared to leave. You're free now, he said. Free from heaven's attention. I asked, and you? He smiled faintly. I still owe, he replied. Just less than before. Then he disappeared down the road. That night, I returned to the grave that once saved me. I placed the green tile back in place. The preserved corpse was gone. Only an empty coffin remained, a debt repaid. I understand it now. Surviving doesn't mean winning. It means carrying what remains. I no longer collect bodies. I no longer suppress them. But sometimes, when the night is quiet, I hear footsteps on the hill. If you ever feel that life has given you more time than you deserve, ask yourself carefully, who paid for it? Because nothing in this world is truly free. This was the story of the body collector's bloodline. It didn't end in victory, it ended in balance. And balance is the most expensive thing of all. Thank you for walking this journey to the end. If the story left something within you, stay. Subscribe and follow the channel because this is not the final story.